read to you an interesting post on X, formerly known as Twitter. Canada, your crisis isn't U.S. tariffs, it's Mark Carney. He's lying. He will never grow your economy. Carney is a managerial elitist pushing the Davos agenda, net zero, central bank digital currency, DEI, and many other strangleholds on growth and freedom. I know because I was one of them. I traveled in Carney's WEF circles for years. These folks don't care about ordinary people. They're only driven by autocratic power and money. Free your country from this authoritarian heist. Unleash drilling, restore meritocracy, and take back your prosperity. Dump him. And the author of that tweet is Desiree Fixler, who joins us now via Skype from France. Desiree, what a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for this invitation.
Well, tell me what you mean by you were in the World Economic Forum circles. Rebel News goes to Davos every January, and we're definitely not in the circles. We're sort of outside the moat. They don't let us over the drawbridge into the inner sanctum. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you know about people like Mark Carney.
Sure. So first of all, I'm a bit of a rebel myself. I was in the corporate world. I was a true believer in the whole Davos agenda, the ESG movement. In 2020, I had my dream job. I was a chief sustainability officer, like Mark Carney at Brookfield. I was head of ESG. And that's when I red pilled and I realized, holy shit, this is a huge marketing scam. This is a multi-trillion-dollar marketing scam that seeks to tell the public we're saving the planet and the people. We're doing good. And you guys can do well by investing in us, in these investment products, ESG. When all the while, it was a scheme to overcharge and under-deliver. So I was part of the GFANS movement. Mark Carney was head of that, the Global Financial Alliance on Net Zero. Mm-hmm. And not only did Mark Carney issue false statements, it actually led to tremendous societal harm. So you're talking about the effect, like net zero and this whole ESG agenda has contributed to the affordability crisis. I would even say it's one of the driving factors for the Ukrainian war. And then its subcomponent DEI has led to tremendous censorship and a cancel culture.
Wow. Well, let's break that down because you said a lot of things in a short period of time. When you say false statements, do you mean false political statements or false financial statements? I want to understand what you mean.
Both. So first of all, after Mark Carney left as governor of Bank of England, he of course took his position at Brookfield. He also led GFANS and made claims that net zero, the drive for the race to zero, net zero, was going to lead to tremendous productivity increases and GDP growth, as well as transitioning economies globally, leading to more jobs and lower energy costs. Just the opposite happened. And in fact, he made claims that over $130 trillion was committed to climate action, that the corporate world was unified in believing that there was a climate emergency and all this money was going to rebuild growth economies. That wasn't true. The $130 trillion was just the members' aggregate assets under management. It wasn't a commitment to climate action. False statement.
So that would be
also
assets that BlackRock and State Street and Brookfield had under management. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
But didn't those companies implement ESG? In a way, wasn't that what Carney was doing, is pressuring those fund managers to green the companies in which they invested to say, to force ESG into their bloodstream. So in a way, wasn't it true? Like he was actually trying to convert those huge asset managers into green champions. I'm just trying to use his language of the left.
Sure. I would use, the language of Milton Friedman and say, it's very dangerous to judge policies on intentions.
Right.
You have to judge policies on results. I'm paraphrasing it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You keep going.
So yes, Mark Carney maybe had the right intentions.
Oh, I'm not saying he did. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe he had the right aspirations, but the results are in. And by 2021 and 2022, you knew ESG was a marketing scam, and you knew that net zero was leading to higher energy costs and actually a degrowth, like the shrinking of the economy. Economies need to grow with access to affordable energy. The other point I'm going to make is this. These are existential policies. People have to vote on them. Not some unelected official, at a Davos, committee, in a committee room, like at a conference, right? Misleading the public, not presenting the true cost benefit analysis, right? People have to decide what, urgent or key issues are, and they have to decide what to do with their own country's natural resources. Unelected officials should not be driving important policy.
Right.
And that's what happened. And you knew you had economic data and market data coming in. You knew that there was tremendous greenwashing. It was pervasive on Wall Street. You knew that ESG was largely the trillions that were mobilized into ESG investments were actually investments in like US tech stocks. They were investments into Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA. That's not going to save the planet or the people. It might make you money, but like these aren't net zero investments. It's obvious it's a carbon light industry. So those, you knew that, the BlackRocks, the other, banks and asset managers were overcharging for regular way investments that were actually underperforming the main index, the S&P 500. In addition, right, renewable energy is more expensive than fossil fuel energy, and it was driving up costs. It's also leading to, just look at Europe, look at Germany, productivity decline, GDP shrinkage per capita. And that's the issue I have with Mark Carney. Maybe he had good intentions, but when the results came in, he denied them, dismissed them, couldn't care less about the strife, the issues, right? The crisis among ordinary people, right? They're just like too little. And that is it's the hypocrisy, the duplicity. Because if you fearmonger, if you create crises, you get to stay in power, right? You get to control the population. You get to regulate more.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.